Merry early Christmas, everybody. I'm super excited to share with you some fun tag assortments that I've created using the Tag Collection die set and the Switchlit Snowflake frame set. It's amazing the different things that you can use using our effects range. Now, I've created this fun box that you can create just to share with somebody as a gift and fill it with some great little tags. I've used the Eileen Hole card caddy box, but I created it with another flap to create a little box. But inside of it, how great would this be if somebody that you know isn't really into the embellishment or adding a little presentation to their fun tags during the holidays, and you're usually seeing their things with the peel and stick with just the printed design on it, but nothing better than anything that somebody receives that's handmade. So I've created some cards using the Switchlit Snowflake set, the tag collection, as well as some of our effects range. And I'm going to walk you through, not all of them because there's a lot here, but I will show them to you up close, and I'm going to share with you some of my favorites. So the ones that I thought I would walk you through are just a few that I've created using some of the effects, some of the different dyes, and also the shaker panes and the acrylic paint. This is the acrylic paint silver. And believe it or not, once you paint a sheet of paper, you could already have the shape already die cut. So if you already have the tag die cut, you could go ahead, paint it, let it dry, do a few coats. You don't have to let it dry in between, but do a few coats, and then when it's completely dry, then you can emboss it. Or, like I did, I already painted a full sheet, so I can do multiple pieces of the shape that I'm cutting at the same time. But if you already have some dies already on hand, you can just go ahead and do that. But if you could see the thickness of it, so it almost makes it elasticy pliable. So it really takes the embossed design really, really well. I mean, look at the detail there. Love that. So that's that one. Another one is going to be using the Prism paste. Now the Prism paste, if you can see it, if you look up close here, you can see the flecks and chunks of actual opalescent cello type pieces in there along with the glitter. So what I have here is a tag that I've cut twice, adhered them together, and then, or sorry, let me start over. To cut a tag, one has adhesive backing on it. Ran it through the machine, and when it was cutting the tag, I laid the circle die cut in there, the circle framelit, ran it through, and then did another one at the same time, just so I would know they would match up perfectly. And then before I adhered them together, I laid a snowflake in between to create the center little area here. So, and then once it was all ready, I wiped it with the Prism paste, and look at that. Look at the detail and the glimmer. How fun is that one? So that's one that I really like. Another one is I just kind of diluted the acrylic silver, and I went ahead and spritzed it with my mister, and once it dried, it had these little flecks. And then I also had die cut, when it was all done, I had die cut the star framelit into that and then backed it with another framelit. So what I did is I nested a larger one outside of the smaller one, and with the stencil film, I was able to create a little shaker in there. So that's another one that I want to share with you. And then the other one that I love is using our shaker pane. Let me fix my tag here. Using our shaker pane. So the shaker pane is one of our making essentials, and I just mixed it, put it in there with some glitter and some of the sequins and beads in there, all the white, and then I use the Geo Crystals embossing folder, 3D embossing folder, and there's one of the stamps from the Winter Sentiments. Sorry, I had to read it really quick. Winter Sentiments, and I'm going to walk you through that. And then once it was all embossed and everything, I added the crystal glaze just to give it a little shimmer. And then with that adhesive ring around our shaker panes here, so you have one on both sides. One's to adhere to your project, and one is to adhere to the actual cover. So it depends on how you are going to assemble it. This is an adhesive. So you peel off that little pink backing, and now that's now an exposed stickiness. So what I did there is I took our, sorry, that's slipping my mind. I took the foil sheets and laid it down, rubbed it down hard, and I just completely, whatever's sticky, that's what adheres to your foil sheet. So I put the silver foil sheet on there, and how fun is that? So that's another fun project. So time-wise, I'm going to hopefully walk you through all of it. So let me get started with just the die cutting part. So I just want to cut a basic tag using my Big Shot Foldaway. Lay that down there like that. We got the perfect tag. So that is ready to go. Now let me show you how I created this one with it all painted. Same idea. I just want you to see how nice and pliable it is. So the reason I'm cutting all the tags first is just I figured I'll have all the tags and all the pieces ready to go, and then I can just walk you through each tag design. So same idea. You want to cover, have it, you know, maximize as much space as you can so you're able to get more than one out of a sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down, and so I'll have another piece for another project at a later date. So how ready are you for the holidays? Nothing better than having some of your cards all ready, because you know when you have that last minute, you realize you forgot to wrap a gift, just add a fun tag to it. And when they see that you made that, they'll absolutely love it even more. So look at that. Look how perfectly it cut through that paint. And it's just real nice and bendable. It's almost like silky, elasticy smooth. I love it. So I'm going to set that aside so I can do the embellishing on that in a minute. So for this one here, I took the smaller star framelit. Let me see where I put it. It is. And I just cut into it, just directly into it, cut right into it like that. Lay it down wherever you want to position it. You could use any star size that you want also. It works for a heart as well. Run that through. I had already misted the paper, so it's already tagged and ready to go because I knew I wanted to, you know, make sure I had time because I didn't want to run out of time and wait for it dry. So this is obviously something, even though it's not a full star, you could use it at a later date. Remember, never throw away your trash. And just the straight edge against a straight edge. And look, there's another tag. That's very cute. So you've got that. We've got this, and this is the one that I'm using to create that. Now to create this border around the star, I've already had them pre-done, pre-assembled, and I'll just show you how I did it, just explain it. I took the larger from the same die set, and I laid this one inside like that. Took my maker's tape just to make sure it wasn't going to slip around, and then I just took my cardstock. I used the silver, and I had already put the adhesive backing on it, so it would be a sticker ready to put on the card, and then ran it through, obviously with the blade against this glitter part of the paper. But that will create the border because the blades here is going to create an actual border. Okay, so we have that. Let me just show you really quick so you'll believe me. I'll just do it on white. So let's see, make sure it's nice and as even as it can be border-wise. I'm just going to do it without the maker's tape just to save time. Hopefully it didn't jostle. So you have, not only do you have the star that you cut out of the middle, but then you've got the ring. So no matter what color border you're going to do, you could do that and then glitter it. You could put adhesive sheet on that and make it adhere it to the foil sheets or the metallic flakes, whatever, but you've got these pieces, and that's a great way to create a border using a larger framelit inside, a smaller framelit inside of a larger one. So that's a nice little tip and trick for you. Okay, so we've got that one. I've got the center one already cut. Okay, so I think I'm done with my, no, actually I'm not done with my machine. Let me go ahead and emboss the one that I did for the Snow Cute Shaker Pane one. So I'm going to mist it just because it softens the fibers. I'll do that off camera so I don't get everything all messed up and damp. So I've got that ready. I'm going to take the Geo Crystals 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to go ahead and position it. This is kind of one of the folders where the design is even, so I want to line it up evenly. If it's kind of an all scattered one, then it wouldn't matter. So since this is a 3D embossing folder, I do not need the adapter pad, and I only need one cutting pad. And we like to run them through 3 times. Just remember, it's 3D folder 3 times, just to give it a nice, sure, no fail impression. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? So that is ready. I'm going to let that damp part dry before I apply the crystal glaze to it. So I'm going to set that aside. But look at the detail on that. So that would be the emboss, and that would be the deboss. So both sides are gorgeous. It's up to you on what you're going to be creating. So that's it with that one. Now I want to show you the how beautifully the Delicate Mistletoe will emboss the painted card that I had just die cut. Now, I'm not going to miss the paint side because it's already pliable, but I think I'll do the back. And there's my little mess. Pay no mind to my little stray pieces of paint, or what do you call it? Swipes of paint. So that's all misted on one side. Now I want to make sure that the positive of my folder is on the wrong side of the tag. Now the positive is the part that's pushed up. Some people call them mountains, and they call the negative the valleys. Some say positive and negative. Some say innie and outie. I say positive and negative. So doesn't matter. And this is one of those scattery type folders where there's no precision perfect. It's not perfectly lined up where you feel like you need to line up your material on the inside. So this one can go either which way. So I'm just going to put it in there like that with the mountain, the positive against the wrong side of the paper. And my cutting pad is over here. And let me run it through. With the silver and the pearly, crystally look, it just gets me so excited for Christmas. So look at that. How beautiful is that? I mean, the detail is amazing. And all you need to do is grab a little twine and either do a slip knot or tie it. And this tag is ready. You could add somebody's name on a little strip of paper if you want, or handwrite a little message. But I'm just going to pull this little ribbon through there like that. Look at that one. That one is all set and ready to go. Absolutely love it. All right, so that's that one. And I'm still going to let that one geode one dry up a little bit. But let me go ahead and just kind of walk you through this one. So this one here, I've already die cut it already. And I've already adhered one side with the adhesive sheet. So that's going to be a sticker. So I'm going to pull this adhesive sheet back. And I'm going to adhere my snowflake. Either one, any of the snowflakes would work. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down there. And I want to cut a snowflake so you can see how beautifully, I mean, you thought you loved the embossing folders, but having it cut and emboss at the same time, I mean, you're getting it all done at one swoop. How great is that? So that is all set. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one on the other side of it because I know they're going to match up because I cut them at the same time. And that one's ready. Look how cute and easy that is. So let me go ahead and after I'm done with the machine, I'll start doing the effects on it with the Prism paste. So let me put this aside with the geotag one that I had done. Actually, I put the wrong snowflake in there, but that's the one I meant. Maybe I can pull it away. Yay. That one I did, and I'll show you how I did that one. Why they're different. Make sure that little piece is centered. Line it up again. Glad I didn't bear down too hard with that adhesive sheet because it wouldn't have pulled up so easily. So that one's all set, ready to go, and I will add the Prism paste in a minute. The tag collection set, which I love, it also comes with your little reinforcements, so it just kind of finishes off the tag itself with the little circle over the hole. Okay, so let me show you really quick another reason I love the switchlets. Now the switchlets are a 3D embossing folder that will cut and emboss your snowflake at the same time. We also have trees, but I want to show you how beautifully they turn out. So if I cut this just by itself, let me do that for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Since I'm die cutting, I got to put that one back on there like that. Now if I cut this snowflake by itself, there's a little piece of snowflake flurry still in there. I'm going to make sure they're all out since it's pretty intricate. without the embossing folder. So without the folder, I'm just going to go ahead. So you're actually getting 3 snowflakes and the embossing folder. So using them by themselves, that's 3 different ways. And using it with the folder, that's 3 different ways. So with this one product, you will be able to do 6 different things. 3 snowflakes like this that have no particular detail to them other than this. There's no embossing at all. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. Same as this one. I didn't use the folder. Cut it, and then you just want to pop out those little pieces there. But they cut beautifully all by themselves without the folder. Now, if you realize, darn it, I meant to use the folder, you could still lay that back in there, but I mean, you can't have too many snowflakes, and no two snowflakes are alike, right? So what I want to do is say, let's see, which one do I want to do? The assortment, the set comes with 3. So let me get this one, the one I just did, and this one, and then you get the folder. Okay, so you have the positive and the negative. You also have these little magnets. So the little magnets is what's going to make sure that your snowflake framelit stays put, because you want to make sure it stays, the impressed image is going to be in the actual center of your snowflake. So I would just pop all these things out before if this is the one I chose, just because some of the pieces are still embedded in there. But this is the one I'm going to use. So you see these little magnets here, and all 3 snowflakes line up on these perfectly. So, and it'll be exactly where it is, where it should be for it to be in the center. And you just want to move it around. It's not, it'll hold there, but not very well. And your embossed image is not going to be centered. So I'm just going to move it around till you kind of hear it click a little bit, or just go. And it doesn't move any, it'll move if you push it, but there's just this one area where you know, like, got it, perfect. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm going to mist my paper again. This is going to be using the silver opulent paper. This is the pearl finish, and I'm just going to mist the bottom because the water will just roll off on this one side. So I just mist the back side of it. And now remember, you want to have the wrong side of your paper against the design because you want it to be pushing through the positive side. All right. So this is the wrong side of the paper, the white side. I'm going to have that down, and this is going to cut into it, and it's going to push this image into the snowflake. As it's cutting it, it'll also be embossing it. And since even though you're cutting, you're also embossing, so you have that extra thickness. So even though this is a part for cutting, you're not going to use that. You're going to treat this as if it's only embossing. So this would be the level that you're going to be doing it on. Oops. So it cut beautifully, and you don't want to push too hard to take it out because you don't want to press into your embossed design, but look at that. So that's the same exact one using, let me see if I have one already cut. Here's one cut without the embossing. Same, and also a different finish of the silver opulent paper. So this one has the embossed design, it's the pearl finish, and this is the mirror finish, but it doesn't have the embossed design. But the detail, I mean, they're both beautiful. The detail on this is absolutely exquisite. So using this for your tags or anything to add on to a gift, even adhering it to a package, how cute is that? Sealing up an envelope, sealing up a card, folding down a bag and then sealing it. The possibilities are endless, my friends. So we've got that one ready to go. And I want to also show you that, remember when you did that one tag where I cut the tag first and embossed it, how would it look if we did the same technique, but also using it on a painted piece of cardstock? So let me take the other snowflake. How about this one that's got more detail? I'm going to put that in there like that. Now you remember you want to have the flat side of the die. That's the part that hits the magnet. Okay, so I can feel that it's centered. It's not really moving around anymore. Okay, so this is a piece of painted silver acrylic paint, silver acrylic paint cardstock. Okay, wrong side of the paper against the embossed design, the positive side. So it's going to push through the wrong into the right, or into the correct. And this is just showing you how it will also cut and emboss the painted cardstock. Was that 4 times? I meant to do 3, I lost count. I'm just going to peel it out. It really softens the fibers when you mist it, so that's why it's so important to do that. And then you've got all this particular set, you've got a few extra pieces that you want to make sure you pop out. And then I'll just kind of tap that down there just to get it out. It's really in there with the paint, but at the end, it's all worth it. Let me get it out without ruining my die cut. Since the paper's soft with the, not elasticy, but with the acrylic paint, it kind of is a little more pliable, so you can kind of work it. Hopefully I'm not going to speak too soon without tearing it. I might have misted it a little too much and it got extra damp, so now it's like, yeah, lady, nice try. Once you get the majority, oh, it did tear a little bit. Once you get the majority of it out, then you can kind of manipulate the rest to come out. But this little guy, detail is so fine that it's really in there. And while you're making these, you could have Christmas music on in the background. That's what I should be having right now. The stickiness of the paint, I think, is what, and this one is so detailed, it might be what's making it not be very forgiving. There we go. How pretty is that? It did split on a couple areas because I was a little aggressive, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So I love the way that turned out. That's the one that I used on one of the tags. Let me show you. One that I had done earlier. That's a really fun one. And I used the dimensional paste and kind of gave it a little texture. And with the painted cardstock, similar to the one, just a different one. How pretty is that? Just how the way it cuts so beautifully. So that is that. Okay, now I think I can start assembling and showing you all the tips and tricks with the effects range. Let me get this out of the way. Let me go ahead and add my mixed media mat. So what I love about having things die cut is I love just having some stuff just all ready to play with. I do that at home. If I decide, oh, I don't want to use that color, I never throw it out just because it's always good to have on hand and just start playing with it, and especially for something like this, adding all the tags. I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one. So this is the one that I had die cut and added the little circle in there. I'm going to take the Prism paste. Now the Prism paste, like I said, is the one that has pearlescent in it, but all sorts of fun chunks in it too. So I could have embossed that if I wanted. I could use my finger, which I'm gonna do. And I hope I brought something to wipe my finger with. Yeah, there's some over there. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe it on there. I could brush it on, I could use a palette knife. See how all the little pieces just start coming together? And you just kind of tap it and give it a little finish to it. Now I could have done it before I put the snowflake in, just on the one side, but I didn't think too far in advance for that one. But you could do that. You just don't want to do it before you die cut it, just because I don't know how,
if you might lose some of the prism, obviously you're going to wait till it dries, but if you might lose any of the little chunky pearlescent little pieces in there. And you can just pick out the spots that you wanted to make sure it has more. You know, if you realize, oh, there's no flakes over there, just find a piece of out of your little pot of goodness and just go ahead and add it to that. So that's just a fun way to do that. So now you know how to create just a little fun tag showing you, add something in the middle, just a little aperture with a little snowflake in the center. How fun is that? So that's that one. I'm not going to do anything else to it because it's still wet. And then other than adding the little ring in the middle, the little reinforcement, I could do that because that's already wet. And stick that on there. Ooh, fill in the pot. That's not good. Go ahead and add it to there. And there's one already. Actually, two already because we already did this one. So there's those. Let me clean off my finger. Now what I love about those is they dry clear. So the only thing that you're going to be seeing is the prism, and you can feel it too. So the texture really brings it all out and makes it so much fun. So that's using the Prism paste. And remember, you could do it on all sorts of things. You can do it on ornaments. You can do it on any kind of paper. You could do it on the tips of a snowflake just to make it a little more fluffy and iridescent-y. So that's fun to do too. Okay, so for this one, if you remember, I had used the Geo Crystals, and this is the one that I'm going to be doing with the Shaker Pane. So I'm going to take our crystal glaze. Now the crystal glaze is also it dries clear, but it has the little tiny flecks. It's not too textury. You can feel a little bit of the glitter in there, but it just leaves a beautiful finish onto your project. So since there's some on the lid, and you always want to make sure you keep this because this is what will keep it from drying out. I'm just going to use a bit, take some off of the lid. And my finger is my favorite tool. And using my mixed media mat, it's perfect because it just all wipes right off. And it just really brings out the shimmer of the embossed design. So that makes it really pretty. So I don't have to do a whole lot in the center because that's going to be covered by the Shaker Pane. This is the one that I'm going to be showing you. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that that gets a little bit drier. And while that's drying, I am going to just show you how I did the Shaker Pane part. So that one piece there, like I was showing you before, it has the adhesive backing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on the wrong side, not the wrong side, which normally would be the bottom, because I really don't need to cover it because this is the part that's going to be going down onto the card. So it will already be flat. So I'm just going to take this off. And if you're familiar with our foil sheets, we have rose gold, gold, and silver. They're perfect, so they just stick to anything that is sticky. So it'll take the color off of anything sticky. So you'll see the shiny side and the wrong side, the dull side. The dull side is what's going to be going against your adhesive. So this is the adhesive border here. And I'm just going to go ahead and rub that down as hard as I can. Now, if I lift it up and realize, oh, it didn't get that area, no problem. I just take, and you just can use as much of the area exposed, unused foil sheet as you can, just as long as it's adhering. And as you could see, it did a pretty good job just in those first few wipes. And you just want to rub down, bear down on it. And so there's that. With the adhesive sheet, look how perfectly that covered the adhesive border. So now I'm going to take my little square piece of cardstock that I thought I had cut, but I don't see it. So let me just cut it right now. And I just want to make sure it's going to be covering the area of the, it's not big enough. Let's see, how about, I just want to make sure it's covering the one area of the tag that the glitter is going to be sitting on. So let me just cut a piece of silver glitter cardstock. Trim that down a bit. I know I'm going to find it when I clean up my mess. Okay, so this part here, I have an adhesive on the back of it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that down on here. And this part is already an adhesive. So remember, both sides have the adhesive on it. So I'm going to peel off this little piece here, the little border. And I'm not going to lay it down yet because I want to put in all my glittery, sprinkly thingies in there. So I have a few little pieces that are already right here. So I'm just going to put them in the center like that. A little pinch of the glitter. These are the sequins, and this is our white glitter, and then the sequins and beads for the festive, it has little snowflakes in it. How cute are they? And then the white, the set of white has little tiny sequins in there too. So since it's a small, not a giant tag, I figure I don't need to put too many big pieces in there. So you have little snowflakes, sequins and beads, and I think that should be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that up like that. A couple pieces there trying to escape. So that one is all done. How fun is that? Shake it up, shake it up. And I already just had this one little piece already done and ready to adhere down. I'm just going to take a piece of foam tape and just so that'll pop up just a little bit. Peel off the backing just to give it a little dimension. And I already have this rubber stamped. So after I rubber stamped it, when the ink was dry, I put a little bit of the crystal glaze on it, so it has a little bit of the shimmer in there, so it kind of coordinates with the actual tag itself. So that'll pop up like that. We've got a cute little shaker tag, and that one's done and ready to go. So how fun are those? And then the last one I believe I wanted to share with you was this one here. So this one I've already pre-created, like I said, the little stars and showed you how to do the border of it. So what I'm going to do now is just use my express glue and adhere this one to the side. Put a little bit of the glue on there. You want to do all sides and all, not fully, well, yeah, fully covered, because you don't want any of your little shakies to go flying out. Because whoever's receiving the tag, you don't want them to be mad at you, because then after opening it, the gift, they've got to clean up the mess. My sister-in-law used to open cards for me in the backyard because back in the day I used to always fill them with glitter and confetti. Good thing she was out of state. She didn't have to come marching over to scold me. So I'm just going to match up this right here along the sides of where the actual star did die cut out. And you can see through it, through the adhesive, I mean through the vellum stencil sheet where it is. So let me move that over just a little bit. So we've got that one, that side's all set. And then I have my sprinkles already ready to go here. Let me just sprinkle it just in there like that. This is using some of the stars from the silver sequins and beads. It comes with tiny stars and bigger stars. How cute are they? So I'm going to lay that in there like that. And then one last dab of glue on the side that's going to be closing it up. You could use a narrow tape if you want. I'm just going to use my fingers here. A little bit on that stencil film. I don't want the sequins to stick to it. But if you start now and get going, it's so much fun to have things all ready to go when you're ready to start creating your fun little projects. Put some more in there. You know, especially for the holidays. And like I said, you know, you have something to wrap and you're like, oh, I don't have a card. Oh, wait, I have all those tags I made. So that's a fun thing to have on hand. You just want to match it up. It'll line up exactly with the star in front of it because it's cut out of the same die set. And there's another idea, another way to shake it up. So these are the ones that I'm so happy I had time to share with you. So this was the crystal glaze. I could still shimmer it or add it to any of the tags I already have. I have some of the tags that I've already die cut. If I want, I could just go ahead and add that to this. And now this one's already sparkly and glittery and so pretty. You can go ahead and add that to another tag. So just adding it to something that's already die cut, it saves you time. It adds a lot of whimsy to all your things, and it makes it so much fun. So I want to show you really quickly some of the tags that I've created already and just show you different techniques that I've used and the different products that I've used to create them. So you've already seen the one with the star cut out, because that's one that we did. So this is one that I had a lot of fun doing. This is using the paint that I painted the cardstock, ran it through with the 3D switchlet, and then adhered it to this tag. But then I used the dimensional paste. Now the dimensional paste is a paste that we have that has a pretty thick, can I bring it in here? A pretty thick consistency. And you're able to add fun to all of your projects. So I have it on a little palette knife, and I'm just going to dab it up here, and look, it's already given that little snowy effect, and it dries. It doesn't collapse. If I wanted to heat dry it, it'll dry just like that, and it has the little peaks. You could do that. You could add it to an existing die cut snowflake, because you know, no two snowflakes are alike. So add a little dimension to your snowflakes. How fun is that? Just adding a little bit to it, and you can just see the texture. So that's a clever way of doing it. And if you can look on here and see the texture on that, I did this one 3 days ago, I believe, and it just stayed just as is. So that's a lot of fun. You can add it to jars. You could do it on any home decor project, frames. I love it. It's a great, great product. The effects of this one is really fun. So that's that one. I use the Luster Wax on this one. So the Luster Wax is our, it has a really nice orange oil scent to it. Should I hold it to the camera so you can smell it? But you just dab, barely need any of it at all. And you just go ahead and you can, let's see, do I have a, yeah, I have a little snowflake already ready. I did this one using the same Delicate Mistletoe folder, but I did it on just a white cardstock tag. And then you barely need any. You just put a little bit on your finger, and it just brings a little life to whatever is already raised. You don't need much at all. And then if I wanted to go back over it and do a little bit with the gold luster wax, I could do the same thing, or the rose gold. So you saw I barely used any, so that jar will go a long way. And that just adds a little bit of fun to your projects, your die cuts, especially your embossing. But look how beautiful that is on the Delicate Mistletoe folder. Okay, so that's that one. These are just some other ideas I did. This is one of the stamp sets that's also in the winter sentiments. I cut 2 tags, one out of our white opulent, but this is the mirror, so it's very glossy. So I cut that, and then I cut it off at an angle. So I took the tag, cut it here, and then just put a little adhesive on the sides here and the bottom, and made a little pocket. I stamped the little sentiment and just tucked a little snowflake in there. Now the snowflake I used, I die cut it, and then I rubbed the Prism paste on it. So it gives that little finish with the little flecks of the iridescent film inside, a little chunkiness to it. So that's a lot of fun. I love how that one turned out. Another one, this is using our sheets. This is, our flakes. I had taken our metallic flakes and used our 3D adhesive. So the 3D adhesive is a thin adhesive film that when it's applied to something, it is able to create find my brush, able to create a stickiness. So whatever it touches, once it's dry, it'll cling to it. So, So it's similar to the adhesive sheets, how they stuck to that adhesive. So once this is dry, it dries clear. So you can't tell that it's, well, you can tell in the pot. it's white, but it dries clear. So once it dries clear, it's completely sticky tacky. So when it's tacky like that, anything that's tacky, just like the foil sheets, our metallic flakes will stick to. Now the metallic flakes, it's almost like snowing. Look, they're so light. And like I said, on the Prism paste, I mean the Luster Wax, a little goes a long way. So this one isn't completely dry. It's still a little tacky. Let me walk you through a couple of other projects, and then I'll come back to this one just so I can show you how that one works. So like I said, this is the box, the 3D folder, I mean, sorry, the card caddy for Eileen. I did the same technique, but I used a 3D folder instead of this is the closure. I used the winter pattern 3D folder and did that idea on there. So that's a lot of fun. Doing that as the closure for this box would be another fun technique on that one. Okay, so let me see how dry. So this is pretty ready to go. But see how thin this is, these sheets? Some people like to do one piece at a time and just dab it like this because it'll cling to anything. I like to just take a little handful and just kind of rub it on. So wherever the adhesive is, that's where it'll stay. And that 3D paste, really 3D adhesive, it really does dry quickly. So you've got that on there like that. And if I went ahead and added a snowflake, I have a snowflake that I only needed one side of it, so I could go ahead and just adhere this one to the bottom or the side. And I've got another tag ready to go. But look at it, kind of gives a fun little dimension here. And I'm going to see these little things fluttering around the rest of the afternoon. But I just love that 3D paste. Whatever sticks to it, it adheres down to. It stays put, and I love it. It's no longer sticky. Just the texture of that, the metallic flakes really brings it out alive. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, it doesn't look like you have a lot in here, and it also feels like there's nothing in here because they're so thin and light. But there's a ton, and you just pinch it up, and and make sure your air is not on, and our air just clicked on, so maybe that means I should be done. Anyway, I hope I've inspired you. All of these tags were so much fun to create. One last thing, shoot, darn it, I just saw another one I wanted to do. The expand paste. So expand paste is a paste also that is in our effects range, and it's in one of the pots as well. Thought I had it. I just have a little tiny jar of it, and you put it down. If you put it down and heat it right away while it's still wet, look at the puffiness. Some of these flakes. Look at the puffiness that it creates on the tips of those snowflakes. And this is using the foil sheets on the adhesive as well. So it foil sheets and then the expand paste. While it's still wet, it'll bubble up. If you wait for it to dry, completely dry, and then heat it, it does expand, but it doesn't bubble. So that is the difference between doing it wet and doing it dry. This was so much fun and such a mess, but nothing's better than a messy good time.
So which one was your favorite? Was it the shaker one? Was it the painting and cutting and embossing, or painting and cutting and embossing the tag in its entirety? I love them all. They were so much fun to create, and it was so much fun having you join me as I created them on camera. I hope you've been inspired. We're wishing you a wonderful holiday season. Get crafting now, and when you do, be sure to tag us in my Sizzix story. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.